Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this video, we're heading into the finale for Primal Challenge number 1 against Kharja. If you haven't checked out part number 1's gameplay, I'll put a link to it in the top right-hand corner right now. At the tail end of part number 1, Kara ended up being knocked out in the northern section of the game board. Unfortunately, she is down at the moment. Hellerin is up next. We are halfway through round number 4, so when Kara got knocked over, she lost out on her turn, and now we're going to the back half of this round with Hellerin. Hopefully she can pull something off. It's unfortunate for Hellerin because she's currently in the front sector of the monster, and the behavior card is going to trigger for a start of round effect. We've seen this one in part number 1. This is Ember Dash. This is the one where in order to generate movement, we're going to have to pay a green dodge card to do so. And after replenishing, it looks like the end of round is going to be pretty nasty. Unfortunately, I have no green cards in hand, so I can't generate any movement, so I'm going to be threatened. So even with this stamina token that I have, unfortunately I can't use it right now because I need to use green cards to generate stamina to be able to move thanks to the behavior card. So no movement happening for me right now. So the threatened token is placed. I'm going to spend this card right here for the stamina in order to place quick reload into my sequence. That's going to allow me to do a reload of 1. Next card going in the sequence is going to cost me 1 stamina. I'm going to discard this red card right here in order to pay for it. More than enough stamina to do that. And it's also going to allow me to take a struggle token away, which I already have. It was 2. I've dropped it down to 1. The aggro token comes to me, but I already have it. It says here, you may spend a bullet. If you do so, confuse the monster, or you can increase the struggle. This maneuver removes by 2. I'd prefer to go with a confuse route. So we're going to go ahead and spend that bullet that I just got in order to confuse the monster. I place a confused token on the monster. I've also moved the monster to whichever sector I want it to face. It's confused, so I'm choosing to have it face west, and that's going to help me because now I'm on its flank and I can actually attack it. I'm going to retroactively change something. Instead of using the red card to discard to pay for bombardment, I'm going to use instead the yellow card I had in my hand. So this is going in here. Again, if I had to use the red, I could have actually gotten a damage thanks to the Thunder Helm. But I want to keep the red in hand because now that the monster's been confused and turned, I want to make an attack, at least one attack against it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now because this one is 0 cost, which works out quite nicely. So we get this in the sequence. That's going to be 4 damage on top of the 5 we already have in here for a total of 9, working our way up to 14. That's going to do it. I didn't end up using my stamina token, which is A-okay. I'm going to end my turn right here. We're going to go into the attrition check. I have 1 dodge. The attrition ends up being 1, so I blocked it and no damage getting through. I also reloaded my character for the very first time, and every time I reload, I get to put a counter token on here, working my way up to 2, where I can get my mastery. I was able to avoid attrition damage, so I can actually make use of the electric dagger in order to get rid of one of the behavior cards I don't want to deal with. I decided to go ahead and get rid of one of the behavior cards that was going to trigger at end of round. We got ourselves a movement one in here now. Sequence for Hellerin's been discarded. New cards in hand, Hail of Bullets. We have Ranged, we have Fire Cascade, Cannonball, and Gunfire. The monster's now going to turn back towards the aggro player, which is Hellerin to the south. It's now time for end of round triggers, and we do have 1 behavior card activating right now. This one doesn't sound good. It's called Onslaught. It says each player in the front and flank sectors suffers damage unless they reveal a yellow card from their hand. Now this card also has an enhancement keyword at the bottom, so it can pay 1 struggle in order to pull this off, which it will. It's going to do it, but then it's going to go ahead and remove the confused token, and it's not going to take advantage of the bottom portion of the card at all. However, it's still bad news for me because I have 3 red cards and 2 green cards. I cannot reveal a yellow at this point in time. I'm taking a look through my hand of cards to see if there's anything behavior-wise, because some cards, of course, will allow you to basically play them at the time you're revealing a behavior card and you can impact it, but I currently have nothing. So we jump from 6 damage up to 7 damage on Hellerin, which is not good news, and we're going to replenish the card there on the far right. That's going to do it for end of round effects. We're now going to move the round marker to the 5th round. Now, one thing I just noticed is that when I pulled for the attrition test for Hellerin, I had the threatened token, so I should have actually pulled 2 cards for the attrition check. So we're going to go ahead and pull that second card right now. It ends up being a 1, which is actually really lucky, so no gameplay impact whatsoever, but you always pull 2 cards when you have the threatened token, and then you take the worst of the 2, but we're all good, nothing to worry about there. The round marker now moves to round number 5. There's a starter round effect that's pretty nasty for this Primal Challenge. It has us going ahead and discarding a number of cards from our deck equal to the rounds. That's 5 cards being tossed, which is literally going to toss every card that is in the deck for Hellerin. So all 5 of these gone, that leaves nothing left, which means we're going to have to replenish. After replenishing our deck, we also take fatigue damage, so now we have a total of 8 on Hellerin. At this point, with the option to use potions if we wish, I do have one which is tempting, but it would have me taking damage in order to get a boost on attack for the round. I'm not going to do that right now, being that I'm trying to hold off from dying. We're now doing a behavior refresh. The lowest card is going to be the middle one here with movement. That's going to be tossed and a new one coming in. We're also getting 2 struggle for the monster. Now the first player marker moves to the aggro character, which is going to be Hellerin, so she goes first. Unfortunate for her, she's in the front section, which is going to trigger this behavior card. And it states Flaming Tails. Each player in the rear sector must either immediately move or suffer damage. This is good news because the only character in the rear sector is KO'd, so this cannot affect a KO'd character, so nothing happens. Hellerin definitely wants to get moving. She's going to spend her stamina token in order to do so, shifting to this position here. She's going to play Gunfire for no stamina cost into her sequence, and it says right now you can spend a bullet to increase the damage by 3, but I don't have a bullet currently. Unfortunately, looking at my cards, I don't have anything to reload with at the moment, which is sad, because it would have been nice to get that additional damage, but this alone will do 4 default damage, which means we'll be up to 13 over here. We'll just flip one of these 1s into a 5. Next, I'm going to play my range card for free into my sequence. I could have used this at the top card of my discard pile in order to count towards my sequence, but this also counts towards the attrition check anyway, having a dodge in here, so it's a good one. It's no cost. Next, I'm going to use this red attack card here, another free one. The reason I didn't put these side by side to take advantage of the reclaim is the fact that I have these 2 symbols, which are these 2. If they were together side by side, it would trigger a behavior, and I want to avoid that, so I broke them up. But this will still do 4 damage. So 17 damage total, 14 going towards a wound, knocking the monster down to 4 in terms of its health remaining. Now, when it takes a wound, it's going to increase a counter on its board, which is going to make life more fun later on. Last but not least, as much as I love this Cannonball card, I just can't pull it off. So I'm going to go ahead and actually use it in order to get this card into my sequence to give me another defense, hopefully for the attrition check. That'll help me out. So this is being discarded in order to pay for the hail of bullets, and I'm not using the ability on it whatsoever because I can't draw based on bullets because I don't currently have any. Let's go ahead with the attrition check. We know we got 2 for dodge. Let's see if we get a 2 or lower on this. We got ourselves a 0, so we are good. We're going to go ahead and use the electric dagger to get rid of a behavior card. I discarded my sequence, and here are my new cards. The monster turns towards the aggro player, which is Hellerin. There's no end of turn triggers to deal with right now, so we're going to go over to Kara's turn. And as she's knocked out, she's simply just going to go ahead and flip over her KO token, and she's on the way to getting back up, but it won't be until the next time her turn comes around. There's no end of round abilities to trigger, so we move on to round number 6. We have the start of round ability triggering for the Primal challenge, which is going to have us discarding 6 cards from each of our decks, which is pretty insane at this point. So we're going to take 6 cards off the top here for Hellerin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're losing Ray to Shine, Swift Deflection, Quick Reload, Tactical Reload, Pressing Shot, and Bombardment. And on this side of the equation, we're going to grab 6 cards off the top of the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And put the deck back. We have lost Shadow Step, Swing, Shadow Strike, Crossover, Returning Blade, and Run Through. We can consume a potion now for each character, but I'm not going to for either of them. We're going to go to Monster Upkeep. Lowest card in the behavior row is going to be this one here being replaced and 2 struggle being added. There was 2 struggle, now there is 4, and also we had to replenish the deck, so Escalation is going to bring another one into the fray, so a total of 5. Hellerin starting us off for this round, but first a behavior card trigger for being in the front sector. Unfortunately, 2 struggle being given to the monster, which is going to hit its 6 limit, which will drop back down to 2, and it's going to unleash on both characters. The knocked out character doesn't take any damage at the moment, but Hellerin takes another one that's going to put her at 9. Unfortunately, this Terrifying Gaze is going to get worse for me because it states if the active player is the only player standing, which is true, they must discard either a maneuver or attack card from hand instead. I'm going to choose to discard a maneuver card, which kind of hurts me because I wanted this for reloading in the future, but I have other ways to make that happen, but I would have liked to have held on to that. Hellerin's going to use Rapid Ignition. This one costs no stamina. Aggro token is pulled, but I've already got it. It says on it that you can spend a bullet to search your discard pile for a red and place it on top of your deck. I don't have any bullets to spend, so I'm not going to be using that. We're going to go ahead with the attack, which is going to be 4 coming at the monster, which currently has 3. We're We're halfway towards getting to another wound with 7 damage. Let's go ahead and play another red card in here. And I know this is going to trigger this one up here, but that's okay. I have a plan. So this one here again is free. This says when a behavior card is revealed, you may discard this card from your hand. So that's an ability that's only going to happen if you kept it in your hand. So in this case, we're just doing another 4 damage. We now have a total of 11 damage, and we're going to be triggering this card right here. This one's kind of a nasty one. It says the active player suffers damage unless they reveal a yellow card from their hand. I don't currently have a yellow card, so this is not good. And it's going to go ahead and spend a struggle in order to enhance this, go up to the active player suffering damage unless they discard a yellow card from their hand, I should say. So unfortunately, we are going to be taking 1 damage, bringing me up to a total of 10, 1 away from a KO. Now, one thing I'm going to do is use a card from my hand called Prompt Answer. When a behavior card is revealed, you may discard this card from your hand and reload 2. So when that card was revealed, we're going to get some bullets back, 2 of them. Next, I'm going to go ahead and play another card in my sequence called Strafing. This one costs no stamina, pulls the aggro token, I already have it. And I can go ahead, it says you may spend a bullet to deal 3 damage. So I'm going to go ahead and do exactly that. So we're going to do 3 damage, which will put us over the edge. It's actually exactly what we need because we have 11. We need 14 to do a wound. So we have exactly what we need. We'll cash in all our damage and do a wound, bringing us to 3. Kharja takes another wound, which is awesome, but it's going to increase the counter. So now instead of 2, it's going to go up to 3, which is probably not a good thing. Now the strafing card tells me I can immediately move if I want to without paying any stamina cost, but based on my strategy, I don't want to move. Now this is where it gets dicey because I currently have 10 damage on Hellerin. I have a KO'd character already. So if Hellerin goes down here when we do our attrition check, I'm in big trouble. And that's because I've only got maneuver and attack cards in here. I don't have anything to help me on the dodge side of the equation, which is unfortunate. I did have 1 card in hand that could have been used in my sequence as a stopgap, but 1 is probably not going to be enough anyway. Let's see what's on the top of the attrition deck. It is a 3. There was no way I would have been able to defend against that attack. So 1 damage coming to me is going to KO my second character, knocking me out. Even though we were just 3 away from a victory, we have lost. Even though my first attempt at Primal Challenge number 1 ended in a defeat, and now I can no longer gain the plus 20 point bonus for trying this again, because only if you win on your first try do you get that plus 20 bonus. I could potentially change the setup to include nightmare cards to give myself a higher chance of a solid score if I wanted to when I'm reattempting this off camera. You're going to be able to go into this for the very first time, so take a look at what you've seen here, learn from it, and run with it, and see whether you can get yourself a really nice score on the very first attempt or maybe after multiple attempts. Now, one special mention that you'll notice in the PDF when you're checking it out and going through gameplay is the fact that do not forget when you have to replenish your own character decks, you're not only going to be taking that fatigue damage that you normally do, but you'll also be taking what's known as fire damage on top of it. So in other words, you're really going to get hammered when your deck is running through. And as you can see, when you get to those later rounds and you have to discard a whole bunch of cards from your deck at the very beginning of the round, you can put yourself in a pretty bad situation really quick. So you really want to try to aim to take this individual monster out in the early rounds as fast as possible. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this playthrough, and also let me know your scores and setups as you go through attempting this challenge. It will be a lot of fun to talk about it. If you also want to discuss it and compare it with other individuals outside of the channel as well, you can do so in my Discord channel or on the Facebook group. In either place, we'll have individuals posting their scores for this challenge. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.